Okay, so this is the second of the lectures of the Buddhist Society's 100th anniversary memorial lecture series on Japanese Buddhism. And it'll start with some chanting, and then I'll make an introduction to the talk. Well, welcome friends, venerable members of the Sangha, distinguished guests, and all those of you online. Big welcome to the Buddhist Society lecture series on Japanese religion. And as you know from looking at the program, it's a tripartite series. And the first is on Pure Land, and this is the second of the first division. And we're here in the 15th century with Rennyo and his epistolary teachings. So I won't take up too much time, but just make a quick introduction to our teacher tonight, our lecturer, Venerable Taira Sato, who's a great friend of the Buddhist Society, has been for many years, and it's a great privilege for us to have him here, Master of Three Wheels Temple. But I won't take up any more time, but just allow you to get on. Thank you so much, Taira.
Good evening. Thank you very much for coming to attend this talk, and I very much appreciate your attendance despite your very busy schedule in daily life. Thank you. And what I prepared is this. You have handout in your hand, and she has not entrance. Okay. Unfortunately, my English is not good enough for giving a free talk, so I prepared my draft. So I'm reading it out. And thank you very much for attending my talk. Rennyo Shonin, the destroyer of the Shin Buddhist tradition. So 1415 to 1499. Rennyo Shonin served as the 8th head priest of Honganji, the main temple of the Shin Buddhist tradition. Born into the lineage of Shinran Shonin, the founder of Shin Buddhism, Rennyo was the firstborn son of Rennyo, the 7th head priest of Honganji. However, Rennyo's mother was not in fact Rennyo's legal wife, but rather a servant who attended Rennyo's mother. When Rennyo was 6 years old, his father Rennyo married Nyoen, who thus became his stepmother, Rennyo's stepmother. At that point, Rennyo's actual mother was forced to leave the temple precincts, taking with her a portrait of Rennyo, her only son. She is said to have slipped away through the back gate and departed westward, never to return. About her departure, the Shujinki by Jitsugo is his youngest son. Shujinki by Jitsugo states, quote, on 28th December in the 27th year of OA 1420, saying, I am one from a western province and shouldn't be here. She slipped away through the side gate of the house where she used to live, unaccompanied by anyone to serve her. She departed alone, and nobody knew where she was, unquote. On reaching the age of 15, Rennyo made a vow to spread Shinran Shonin's teaching throughout the land, responding to his birth mother's earnest entreaty expressed on her departure that he should seek to restore in his lifetime the original tradition of Shinran Shonin. The Rennyo Shonin Goichigoki, compiled also by Jitsugo, refer to this point. Quote, people said it was truly astonishing that when he was still but 15 years old, he should have convinced himself to concentrate exclusively on the study of the teaching, resolving to convey to others the stream of Shinran Shonin's tradition by every means at his disposal, in order that each one of them should attain faith decisively, and the teaching should flourish, unquote. In the summer of 1431, at the age of 17, Rennyo was ordained as a monk at Shorein, a Tendai temple in Kyoto, where the founder of Shin Buddhism, Shinran himself, had previously been ordained at the age of 9. The Rennyo studied Shin Buddhism mainly with his own father Rennyo as his teacher. It is said too that at some stage of his life, he also studied Buddhism in general with one of his relatives, Kyokaku, the head monk of Daijōji in Nara. Daijōji is a very big temple. His relative was the teacher there. And in the course of his study of Buddhism, in his 20s, 30s, 40s, Rennyo would repeatedly copy by hand all kinds of Shin Buddhist documents, such as the Jōdo Shinshū, Wasan and Lamp for, Wasan means Japanese hymns, yes, and Lamp for the Latter Ages by Shinran, as well as other important documents by Kemmyo and Zonkaku, present them to followers of the Honganji tradition. This long-standing custom of Rennyo's proved a very good method indeed, not only of self-study, but also of teaching others and making friends with them. It was a highly effective way of leading people to the awakening of faith, and subsequently evolved into Rennyo's excellent practice of teaching by writing letters to his followers. When Rennyo married his first wife, Myoryo, at the age of 27, Honganji was still very poor, and it had not yet been decided who should succeed his father as head priest. This being so, it is stated in various biographical documents that Rennyo experienced all manner of hardships, extreme poverty, shortage of food and clothes, and not nearly enough space for his growing family. When Rennyo was 41 years old, Myoryo passed away, leaving behind their 7 children. At the age of 41 or 2, Rennyo then married Myoryo's younger sister, Rennyo, who bore him 10 more children. At the age of 56, however, Rennyo lost his wife Rennyo as well. Rennyo married 5 times in all, but tragically, each time his wife ended up dying. 2 years after the passing of Myoryo, Rennyo's father, Zonnyo, also died. At that point, a serious dispute arose between Rennyo and his half-brother, Ogen, the eldest son of his stepmother, Nyoen, as to who should succeed their father, Zonnyo, at Honganji. With the overwhelming support of kind and influential Dharma friends, however, Rennyo finally managed to become eighth head priest of Honganji Temple. Among his supporters, Myojo, Zonnyo's younger brother, and thus Rennyo's uncle, played the most important role. After the customary period of mourning, Myojo came over to Honganji Temple in Kyoto from his own temple, Zuisenji, at Inami in Echu province, in order to persuade those involved to agree to Rennyo becoming the new head priest of Honganji. Rennyo's cause will have been greatly assisted by the fact that through his untiring effort to pass on Shinran's teaching to others, he had already gathered a fair number of good Dharma friends around him, including his first and foremost disciple, Dosai of Kanegamori. On starting out as head priest of Honganji Temple, Rennyo utilized his newly acquired confidence and freedom bestowed upon upon him by his position. In order to encourage people to attain pure faith in Amida Buddha, in the spirit of the original founder Shinran Shonin. The faith movement of Rennyo Shonin was exemplified by his insistence that all attendees at Dharma meetings, including senior priests, should all be seated on the floor at the same level. I am on a stage, but in Japan, it's we sit in Japanese way, and you understand, I think, yes. Not preaching from the high altar. I am doing it. I am reluctant to do this, but Desmond insisted, so. Yes. Yes. Practice on the table. A practice known as hiraza, literally sitting on the same floor. But usually, even in Christianity, that the priest look from the give sermon from the high altar, high place, but even in Buddhism, they prepared a very high position, but Rennyo refused to talk to each other on the same floor, on the same level. This unique spiritual attitude, reflecting the pure altruism of Amida's unconditional love that shows no discrimination, was extraordinarily fruitful. The temple became much bigger than before, and eventually, based on the foundation laid by Rennyo, Shin Buddhism itself developed into the largest religious order in the whole of medieval Japan. Really big religious, it became religious order. A long time before this came about, however, and for the whole of his own lifetime, Rennyo was compelled to confront and endure a great deal of religious and political conflict. Only 8 years after succeeding to the position of head priest at Honganji, Rennyo and his temple in Kyoto was attacked twice, both in January and March of 1465, by the Tendai school, the biggest Buddhist order of all, situated on Mount Hiei. On the first occasion, advanced warning of the attack leaked out and reached the ear of Rennyo, enabling him and his family to flee, taking with them the image of Shinran Shonin. But on the occasion of the second attack on the 22nd March, Honganji Temple, located at Otani in Kyoto, caught fire and was completely destroyed. Named after the location, this disastrous incident is known as the destruction of Otani, Otani Hakyaku. Shortly after the destruction of Otani, Rennyo managed to escape to Omi province, adjacent to Yamashiro province, present-day Kyoto. The district there around Lake Biwa was the largest expanse of fresh water in Japan, and many of Shinran's followers, including Hoju, many of Rennyo's followers, including Hoju and Dosai, were scattered in coastal villages around the lake. Rennyo could visit them one after another, staying with them for a while at their place of abode. As Omi province is very close to Mount Hie, it was on the mountain here, the Tendai school. As Omi province is very close to Mount Hie, remaining too long in one place was somewhat dangerous. Indeed, on several occasions, the soldier monks of Mount Hie attacked Rennyo's followers using considerable violence and, at one point, wresting from them a hanging scroll depicting the name in 10 characters of Amida Buddha. Rennyo spent 5 years living in this district before moving to Yoshizaki in 1471. Because Mount Hie was still too close, however, he eventually decided to leave the areas of Kyoto and Omi province entirely in order to avoid conflict with the old religious order on Mount Hie. Thus, Rennyo did all he could do avoid conflict, moving away from each place in turn. The story, however, much the same in Yoshizaki, a small hilltop village to which people flocked in great numbers from various provinces in order to receive Rennyo's teaching, and where some 200 tire houses were built around Rennyo's temple in order to accommodate all the followers. The fact that Rennyo's teaching attracted such vast crowds gave rise to a great deal of friction, including conflict with several other temples belonging to other schools, as well as involvement in power struggles between local warlords. After remaining at Yoshizaki for 5 years, from 1471 to 1475, Rennyo again slipped away to Deguchi in Kachi province, part of present-day Osaka. As already known, Rennyo himself was never warlike, but did his best to avoid conflict. Although there must have been some occasions when Rennyo's followers had no chance but to fight back in defense of their lives, Rennyo is reported to have been seriously displeased on hearing from the leader of a certain Shin Buddhist group that victorious defensive action had been taken in Omi province and number of soldier monks from Mount Hie had been killed. Rennyo told the leader to stop this misbehavior and dismissed the group of fighters immediately. It would seem that behind each of the conflict that arose in Kyoto, Omi, or Yoshizaki, there was always some strong financial interest on the part of the attacker, whether that attacker was a religious order or government authority. Multitudes of people who converted to Jōdo Shinshū or Shin Buddhism started to donate more and more money to Rennyo's Sangha with the joy of faith and gratitude for the teaching, whilst donation to all the Buddhist organizations dwindled rapidly. This then was the real reason for the attacks on the Shin Buddhist Sangha's newly emerging power. The older temples were all closely related to local government and political influence. Despite the difficult problems Rennyo was forced to confront, he continued to write letters to his followers in order to pass on to them the teaching he received from Shinran. The number of letters he wrote to individual followers, or sometimes to particular groups, amounts to 252. 184 dated letters and 68 undated ones. 80 of them were selected and compiled by Rennyo, one of his sons, into a formal version entitled Gojo Ofumi, 5 Fascal version. My English translation of and commentary on this version, entitled Living with Thanks, was published by the Buddhist Society Trust in 2018. It was after becoming head priest of Honganji in 1457 and while still living in Kyoto that Rennyo began writing to his followers a number of letters, the first one of which was presented in 1461 to Dosai, his earliest disciple. This, in addition to Rennyo's long-standing practice of presenting followers with copies in his own hand of Shin Buddhist documents, his own beautiful calligraphy of Buddha's name, Namu Amida's calligraphy of Buddha name, or images of Pure Land predecessors. The first letter, I read, quote, this first letter, single path of faith taught by Shinran Shonin in our tradition is that those who remain at home as lay people have no need to query the gravity of their bad karma, nor to concern themselves with their own existence with the problem of their uncontrollable delusions and attachments, but that they should steadfastly forsake their erroneous attachment to miscellaneous practices and the mixed way of practice, and simply take refuge in the compassionate vow of Amida Tathagata. Then, upon the awakening of one sort of moment in which they entrust themselves single-heartedly to the Buddha without any doubt, Amida Tathagata will immediately send forth his light and enfold them in his embrace. This is to say that it is through the Buddha and through him alone that we are saved. At the same time, it means that our faith is itself a direct gift from the Tathagata. From this, it can be seen that when we pronounce the name, we should not do so for the purpose of beseeching the Buddha to save us. Rather, we should realize that our salvation was assured with one sort of moment of faith when we entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha. And we should understand that pronouncing the name Nenbutsu is actually an expression of heartfelt gratitude to Amida Tathagata for all he has done to save us. Such is the way of understanding of one who practices only the Nenbutsu with true singleness of mind. It is also what is meant by completing the cause of birth in the Pure Land in daily life with the awakening of one sort of moment. Most humbly and respectfully, March in the second year of Kanshō, unquote. All the essential aspects of Shin Buddhist teaching that would later appear again and again in Rennyo's many letters are already present in this initial letter, written at the request of Dosai, one of his first disciples. They include his deep appreciation of Shinran's profound spirituality. The importance of attaining pure faith, attaining the pure faith of entrusting ourselves entirely to Amida Buddha by forsaking all attachment to our own thoughts and actions. Amida's immediate salvation of us through this instantaneous awakening of faith. The fact that all this experience is a gift from the Buddha. The concept of other power. The assurance through first experience of birth in the Pure Land while still living an ordinary life in this world. Pronouncing the Buddha's name with gratitude for all that he has done for us. The fact that Rennyo would so often write letters to his Dharma friends was a natural consequence of close friendship and mutual respect, fueled by a profound understanding of his followers' needs, both practical and spiritual. He wrote several letters during his stay in Kyoto in Omi, but the number of letters increased dramatically after his move to Yoshizaki in Echizen. According to the Tannishō Sannenki, it would seem that Rennyo began writing letters in Yoshizaki on a frequent basis at the particular request of Rennyo, one of his disciples. The 7 essential aspects of Shinran Shin Buddhism listed above are all closely related, originating from the fundamental experience of religious awakening, or in other words, awakening of faith. Analyzing more closely the awakening of faith as depicted in these letters, I would like to highlight some of its most significant aspects, particularly those who are characteristic of Rennyo's teaching. It is related to human relation, personal relationship between Dharma friends. That is very important. But Shinran Shonin gave a wonderful understanding of this human relationship. But Rennyo Shonin added some aspect. More Rennyo Shonin emphasized some aspect. So, firstly, I would like to show the Rennyo Shonin's first letter of the first letter of first school 1 of the 5 first school versions of Rennyo Shonin's letters reads like this. Some once inquired of me, speaking as follows. In our tradition, should followers necessarily be considered as our own disciples, or should we speak of them as disciples of the Tathagata or of Shinran Shonin? On this point, I have no clear understanding. There are some too who have small groups of followers in various places. In fact, they even try to conceal this fact temporarily from the priest of the temple to which they belong. As friends tell me that this is again unjustifiable. I feel very unsure about it too. I would like to have your kind instruction on these matters. I replied as follows. I replied as follows. I consider these questions to be of extreme importance. I'll tell you what I have duly received. Please listen. Our late master said, I, Shinran, have no disciples, because when I expound the Tathagata's Dharma to sentient beings in the 10 directions, I am simply acting as an envoy of the Tathagata. I, Shinran, do not propagate any new Dharma whatsoever. New teaching, yes. Any new teaching whatsoever. All I do is simply entrust myself to the Tathagata's Dharma teaching and teach others do likewise. Apart from that, I have nothing to teach. How then can I claim to have any disciples? For this reason, we are in fact all fellow followers, and consequently, Shinran Shonin addressed his followers very respectfully as honorable fellow followers and honorable Dharma friends. Putting the word respect as on doyo, on dobo. Recently, however, even priests in high positions, ignorant of what is meant in our tradition by peaceful awareness, synonym with faith, so, peaceful awareness, have been sternly reprimanding certain of their disciples for visiting other places where faith was being discussed and trying there to listen to the Dharma. Sometimes such priests have even removed those people from their group of disciples. Consequently, as such priests do not grasp the essential truths about faith and try instead to hold on to their disciples in this manner, not only the priests themselves fail to attain faith decisively, but their disciples also. This means their lives will have been lived in vain. It is truly difficult for them to escape blame for harming themselves and others. It is deplorable, quite deplorable. An old poem says, "Previously, joy was tucked away in my sleeve, but tonight I am overflowing with happiness." Previously, joy was tucked away in my sleeve means that in the past we presume without any clear understanding of miscellaneous practices and right practice that we would attain birth in the Pure Land only if we recite the Nenbutsu. But tonight I am overflowing with happiness means the joy of reciting the Nenbutsu in grateful response to the Buddha for he has done for us is especially great now that having clearly understood the difference between the right practice and miscellaneous practices, we have decisively attained faith with steadfastness and single-mindedness. Because of this, we are so overjoyed that we feel like dancing. Hence, I am overflowing with happiness, most humbly and respectfully, on the 15th June, Bunmei 3. This letter begins with two questions raised by someone who would appear to have been the leaders of Shin Buddhist group, whether as a priest or layman. The questions were obviously prompted by the experience of forming a Shin Buddhist community. Shin Buddhist followers are always very serious about questions relating to the proper relationship between teacher and disciples. In other schools, it was very natural at that time for a priest to for a priest to consider those who came to him to be instructed in Buddhism as his own personal followers. From the standpoint of the Shin Buddhist faith experience, however, the idea of this sort of relationship was felt to be unnatural or wrong in some way. As Rennyo himself says in the letter, these questions about the relationship between master and disciples are of the utmost importance in the Shin Buddhist tradition. Shinran Shonin, the founder of Shin Buddhism, had already clarified this crucial point, and the relationship between master and disciple as recorded in chapter 6 of Yuen's Tannishō. To answer these questions, therefore, Rennyo Shonin quotes the word of Shinran Shonin from the Tannishō. He does not do so verbatim, but provides his own interpretation of the text. In addition to a general interpretation of the content of chapter 6, Rennyo clarifies a new point, something very important that Shinran had already touched on in chapter 6, but only very briefly. Regarding this point, I will talk about later. Anyway, we are now looking at the Tannishō, Shinran's statement. When discussed the document of the chapter in my chapter 6 of Tannishō, in my translation of the Tannishō, I did so by dividing the chapter into 4 parts as follows. These 4 parts covers all the text in Tannishō. So I divided into 4 parts. Quote, "It is completely unreasonable for there to be quarreling amongst our fellow followers reciting the Nenbutsu exclusively, with people saying, such and such are my disciples, whilst such and such are not. I, Shinran, have no disciples," unquote. Firstly, Shinran Shonin claims he has no disciples. If one remembers the objective fact that he most probably had thousands of followers, what does this statement mean? It means he did not ultimately possess or own any of his disciples. His human relationship with them was not centered on possession. He did not possess anyone and was not possessed by anyone. Possessing and being possessed by are 2 sides of the same coin. He was free from any sort of possessiveness. His followers, basically good friends of his. Usually, friendship implies equality of relationship between people. Shinran's friendship was more than that. He respected his followers as also being his protectors on the same true path, just as he revered his wife as a bodhisattva who would lead him to the Pure Land. Now, I have no time to talk about his relationship with his wife today, but the secondary, the quote, the reason is this. So I have no disciples. The reason is this. If a man, by his own effort, makes others recite the Nenbutsu, then he may call them his disciples. But it is most presumptuous to claim as my disciples those who recite the Nenbutsu solely as a result of Amida's working within themselves. Unquote. Secondly, religious experiences such as faith in Amida and saying Amida's name belongs absolutely to the individual. Even if one seems to make another person call Amida's name, the truth is a person only served as a motivational condition to another's spiritual development, just like the midwife in the Socratic method of teaching. As to another's spiritual acts, one should not want to go further than the role of midwife. If one did so, one would end up being most presumptuous. Shinran's spiritual sternness thus stems from his way of living, in which he constantly returned to the Buddha again and again, day in, day out. Faith in Amida, which causes one to call Amida's name, is definitely a most private matter reserved for the individual and the Buddha alone. Thirdly, a quote, "It is all due to the karmic condition of things that some follow one master, whilst others leave him. This being so, it would be absurd to say that one who turns from one master to another will not attain birth in the Pure Land. Do they mean to take back the faith given to each person by Amida, as if it were something of theirs? Such views are most decidedly unreasonable." Unquote. Thirdly, as faith is awakened through the working of Amida, faith is a gift from Amida. It is not ours to give or take. If one thinks one possesses faith, it is no longer faith. What then in Shinran's teaching faith is faith exactly? It looks elusive, just like a moment of time, but only if one wants to possess it. Faith is attained instantaneously by coming in touch with the working of Amida. It's so omnipresent. The working of Amida is always here. We are not aware of it. And how does one feel? And how does one feel the working of Amida? It is through one's relationship with others. Shinran Shonin found Honen Shonin. For example, one who is awakened to faith knows how to thank Amida, how to thank one's master, and consequently, how to thank others. The other people in a person's life are the motivational conditions for an individual's religious awakening. Consequently, they are those who have done a lot deal for the individual's spiritual welfare. As a matter of course, one comes to understand just how grateful one should be to others. When you compare Rennyo's actual letter with chapter 6 of the Tannishō, you become aware of certain aspects of the text on which he places a special emphasis. One such aspect is the importance in the Shin Buddhist tradition of respect to others. In the first letter of Flask 1, Rennyo says, "For this reason, we are in fact all fellow followers." And consequently, Shinran Shonin addressed his followers very respectfully as honorable fellow followers, honorable Dharma friends. Such a comment on Shinran's attitude to his followers made much clearer than before how important respect to others is in the context of Shin Buddhist interpersonal relations. Another such important aspect is one's gratitude to others, something that is closely bound with the joy or happiness one gains through one's faith experience, because we find ourselves extremely happy on the way to the Pure Land. We come to realize that other people are our friends, companions, and protectors on the way to the Pure Land. Another important point Rennyo raises in the letter is the arrogance of certain priests. He criticized his disciples, his priests, very severely. He deplores such arrogance, showing that he was someone who well knew the reality of this world. The Shin Buddhist notion of respect or gratitude toward others have nothing to do with blind obedience or submission. On the contrary, Shin Buddhists appreciate very much their spiritual independence. Whilst well knowing the reality of the world, they can live with pure faith, full of love, respect and gratitude towards others. There is an absolute standard for the Shin Buddhist moral life. Shin Buddhists live their lives whilst constantly asking themselves whether their actions are benefiting oneself and others or harming oneself and others. Because benefiting oneself and others is the quintessence of Amida's original vow. They become aware of it at the very moment of the awakening of faith. Finally, the very special relationship between my master and disciple is based on the deepest insight into the pure faith experience. For Shin Buddhist, everything counts as gift from Amida Buddha that enables him or her to go forward on the way to the Pure Land. It is the same with the people he or she meets. One who understands this will be extremely joyful and happy. According to Rennyo's expression in the last paragraph of the letter, right practice, Nenbutsu, is saying the Nenbutsu in grateful response to the Buddha for what he has done for us, and is engendered by the experience of attaining faith. Faith is awakening to the fact that one is already embraced in the unconditional love of Amida Buddha. Once faith is attained, the Nenbutsu of gratitude emerges spontaneously from the joy of faith. Right practice is the act of saying the Nenbutsu based on pure faith in Amida Buddha, an act of gratitude to respond to the Buddha for all that he has done for us. Now, I would like to clarify the meaning of Nenbutsu in Shin Buddhism. That is very important. So, Nenbutsu, what is Nenbutsu? Saying Amida's name, Nam Amida Butsu. But what is it? For what? In Pure Land Buddhism in general, in other schools. So, in Pure Land Buddhism in general, Nam Amida Butsu denotes the practice of reciting Amida's name, Amida Buddha's name, Nam Amida Butsu. No matter what actual verb you use, say the Nenbutsu, pronounce the Nenbutsu, recite, invoke, or call, in order to be born in the Pure Land. In other words, we aspire to be born in the Pure Land by virtue or merits of by virtue of our own personal practice of pronouncing the name, and we try to do so as many as possible to accumulate sufficient merit. This type of Nenbutsu is called self-power practice in Shin Buddhism because we rely on the virtue of our own practice and may be proud of it, attached to it, not on the great virtue of Amida or other power. It's very delicate. Do you understand this? Very, very important point. The Nenbutsu is the great working of the Buddha. In Shin Buddhism, however, the Nenbutsu, or saying the Amida's name, the name of Amida Buddha, is understood as the working of the Buddha. Our saying the name is in itself the great working of Amida Buddha. Therefore, in this main work, the Kemmyo Shinshū, Shinran writes as follows. Quite difficult to understand, but what we say, Nam Amida Butsu, Nam Amida Butsu, Nam Amida Butsu. But this, our saying the Nam Amida Butsu is a working of Amida Buddha. That is very important point. We are always embraced in the working of the Amida Buddha, and just we are not aware of it, but we are awakened to it. We take refuge in Amida Buddha. Shinran says, quote, "The great practice is to pronounce the name of the Tathagata of unimpeded light." The Tathagata of unimpeded light is another name of Amida Buddha. The great practice is pronounce the name of Amida Buddha. In this practice are blessed all good things and all the root of virtue. They are instantaneously perfected as soon as the name is pronounced. The name is the treasure ocean of virtues accruing from the absolute reality of suchness. Therefore, it is called the great practice. Great practice. Great practice means the working of Amida, not our practice. So pronouncing the name is great practice means the pronouncing the name of Amida Buddha, but it is Amida's working. And so when we entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha absolutely, to our consciousness, our self-centered consciousness destroy, how can I say, collapse. And then we become selfless. And that moment, at that moment, all the virtues are perfected in selflessness. According to the interpretation of Pure Land Sutras by great masters such as Sandal, Honen, and Shinran, the Nenbutsu is something Amida Buddha created through his original vow, in which the Buddha assured all sentient beings that if they recite the Nenbutsu in all sincerity and faith, they will be born in his Pure Land. In this sense, the Nenbutsu is the great working of other power, or the unconditional love of Amida Buddha, who vows to embrace all and forsake none. In Shin Buddhism, an individual follower saying the Nenbutsu is itself the great working of Amida Buddha, made manifest through that person. It is not a self-power practice by which to accumulate virtue for attaining birth in the Pure Land. At the very moment we entrust ourselves to Amida's unconditional love, or his original vow as its manifestation, we instantaneously find ourselves embraced in that love and assured of attaining birth in the Pure Land. This joy of attaining faith is followed by the stream of Nenbutsu welling up from within. As we do not have enough time to go into further details of Shin Buddhist teaching, I would like to conclude my talk by introducing you to one of Rennyo's letters entitled Questions and Answers. In this letter, he uses the questions and answers format to give a masterly, succinct summary of the essentials of Shin Buddhism. Question. A very interesting question and answer. Question. I have learned that in Shinran Shonin's tradition, we are expected to complete the act in daily life. This act is the awakening of faith that ensured us to attain birth in the Pure Land. So the act is, taking refuge in Amida Buddha. We do it. This awakening of faith is in our daily life, not at the moment of death or after death. Here, now and here. Yes, okay. To complete the act, the awakening of faith in daily life, and not adhere to Amida's coming to meet us at the moment of death. Usually, the Pure Land Buddhist talked about the Amida's coming to the person on deathbed to welcome him and to take him to the Pure Land. But according to Shin Buddhist teaching, not adhere to Amida's coming to meet us, okay, at the moment of death. What do you mean by this? I know very little about completing the act in daily life or about not coming to meet us. I would like to listen to your teaching in greater detail. Answer. Your questions do indeed touch on the matter of vital importance in our tradition. As a basic principle, our school teaches that with the one sort of moment of awakening, the act is completed in daily life. Act makes us attain birth, the Nenbutsu. Once we have understood that, it is due to the unfolding of the past good conditions that we come to be aware through listening in our daily lives of the way Amida Tathagata's original vow saves us. Then we can also understand that it is not by our own power, but by the help of other power from Buddha's wisdom that we become aware of the way Amida's original vow works upon us. This is the meaning of completing the act in daily life. Therefore, completing the act in daily life refers to the state of mind of those who, by listening, have realized the above-mentioned principle and are confident that birth is assured. It is what is meant by such phrases with the one sort of moment of awakening, joining the company of those who are rightly assured, completing the act in daily life, and immediately attaining birth and dwelling at the stage of non-retrogression. Question: I have understood the notion of birth in the Pure Land with the awakening of one thought moment of awakening. However, I still don't understand the meaning of not coming to meet us. Amida. Usually they say the Amida to come to meet us, but we expect it. So this expectation is not good. It is the people who perform various other practices that wait for Amidas to come to meet us. For those who practice the true faith, there is no longer any need to wait for Amida's coming to meet us, because we realize that at the one sort of moment of instantaneous awakening, we immediately receive the benefit of the light that embraces all beings and never abandons them. Shinran Shonin teaches, therefore, Amida's coming to meet us is related to the notion of birth through various other practices. Other means other than Nenbutsu. Because followers of true faith are embraced and never abandoned, they live in the company of those who are rightly assured. Because they are dwell in the company of those who are rightly assured of birth in the Pure Land, they will attain nirvana without fail. Being born in the Pure Land, they will become Buddha by attaining Buddhahood, enlightenment. Therefore, there is no need to wait for the moment of death, and no need to expect Amida to come to meet us. I hope these words have made things clearer for you. Question: should we understand being rightly assured and attaining nirvana as being one benefit or two? Rightly assured birth in the Pure Land and attaining nirvana in the Pure Land. But we tend to think that they are the same. But this is Rennyo's answer. With the one sort of moment of awakening of faith, we join the company of those who are rightly assured of birth in the Pure Land. This is the benefit we receive in this world of defilement. Following that, we should understand that it is in the Pure Land we attain nirvana. We should therefore see them as two benefits. Question: I see now the birth is assured once we understand the matters in the way you have experienced. When we are still told, however, that we should go to the trouble of attaining faith, how should we understand that? Answer: this question is indeed of great importance. If you understand matters in the way I have explained above, such understanding is exactly what we mean by having attained faith decisively. Question: I have clearly understood through listening that having attained faith decisively refers to having completed the act in daily life. Amida is not coming to meet us and dwelling in the company of those who are rightly assured. However, what I don't understand is whether, after attaining faith decisively, we should say the Nenbutsu for the sake of attaining birth in the pure land. Land of utmost bliss means pure land. The attaining birth in the pure land, or as a way of expressing our gratitude to the Buddha for all that he has done for us. Answer. I think this question too is of vital importance for the good reason that we should not think of the Nenbutsu pronounced after the one sort of moment of awakening of faith as an act carried out for the sake of attaining birth. It should be understood solely as a grateful response to the Buddha for what he has done for us. This is why Shandao made the following comment about the Nenbutsu: spending one's whole life at the upper limit, one thought moment at the lower. I understand the one thought of moment at the lower refers to the awakening faith discipleship, that the moment of attaining faith decisively. Okay? And spending one's whole life to mean Nenbutsu pronounced as a peaceful, grateful response to the Buddha for all he has done for us throughout one's life. It is the Nenbutsu of gratitude is pronounced throughout one's life. Here, it is extremely important that you really grasp this point, most humbly and respectfully, on the 27th of November, Bunmei 4. I think there is no need for me to add any comments to Rennyo's questions and answers, excepting the last pair, which is very important to understand the concept of Nenbutsu in the teaching of Shin Buddhism. The point clarified in this question and answer is that after attaining faith, we should not think that our practice of saying the Nenbutsu is for sake of attaining birth in the Pure Land. This is because our attainment of faith, birth, is absolutely assured at the moment of our faith is awakened. Therefore, we don't need say the Nenbutsu in order to attain birth in the Pure Land. We just pronounce the Nenbutsu to express our gratitude to Amida Buddha for everything he has done for us for our awakening of faith. Thus, Rennyo clarified the Nenbutsu we pronounce after the name, after attaining faith, is called Nenbutsu of gratitude. That is very important point. Nenbutsu of gratitude. This Nenbutsu of gratitude, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, is nothing but the great working of the Buddha, in which absolutely no distinction remains between the self and the Buddha. Within this great working of Namo Amida Butsu, they are found to be one and the same, just as they are. Everything is a gift from the Buddha, or in short, other power. The natural working of other power that is entirely beyond anything we can conceive in our mind. That is what I prepared. This. Thank you. 誰が司会するのかな。
Desmond.
Desmond. If.
Thank you, Taira. It was a wonderful talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. There's a lot to ponder and think about and practice. Are there any questions from the floor?
Yeah, I talked about the Nenbutsu of gratitude. So, in the biggest ceremony of Shin Buddhism is called Honko, that ceremony to thank Shinran Shonin for to ceremony for Shinran's what Shinran Shonin had done for us. That the ceremony is very, very important. That at the end of ceremony, toward the end of ceremony, we chant one special wasan, Japanese hymn. It is related to this gratitude, Nenbutsu of gratitude. This wasan is I have just translated. 如来大悲の音読は身を粉にしても法ずべし、知習知識の音読は骨を砕きても射すべし。What the Tathagata has done for us with unconditional love is so great that we should respond to it with gratitude, even if it means the breaking of our bodies. What masters and teachers have done for us is also so great that we should express our gratitude to them, even to the extent of crushing our bones. That is a very passionate hymn. So that is very, very important. So gratitude, the Nenbutsu of gratitude talk about gratitude, but it comes from our attaining faith, our experience of attaining faith. And it is, we are found ourselves embraced in Amida's Buddha, Amida's great compassion. To say in Mahayana Buddhist, his vow is based on benefiting oneself and benefiting others. The Amida's vow is benefiting oneself and benefiting others. And at the moment of attaining faith, we feel it, Amida's great compassion, to benefit oneself and benefit others. Bodhisattva's ideal is, how can I say, embedded in our consciousness, I think, yes. So our gratitude is related to this, because I am in the Shin Buddhist understanding, according to the Shin Buddhist understanding, even this very bad person was saved by Amida Buddha. Why not all sentient beings without no discrimination? Because I am already so embraced in Amida's unconditional love. So this experience becomes the starting point of life after attaining faith. So after attaining faith, our pronouncing the name is the expression of our gratitude. That it is deeply related to this, the very deep feeling, compassionate, very, very compassion, strong feeling of this vasan, expressed in this vasan. What the Tathagata has done for us with unconditional love is so immense that we should respond to it with gratitude, even if it means the breaking of our bonds. What masters and teachers have done for us is so great that we should express our gratitude to them, even to the extent of crushing our bonds. At the risk of our lives. Yes. Thank you. Naman. Naman, naman, naman. Next talk is your question? Oh, yes.
Reverend Sato, for your wonderful talk. Although I practice Shin Buddhism at 3 Wheels, I hadn't realized the debt of gratitude in Shin Buddhism to Rennyo, that is owed to Rennyo Shonin. How that he'd had, as you said in your talk, he'd had such a difficult early life.
Yes.
But instead of that early life making him bitter, it actually shaped him, it appears, to be a complete human being, so that later on he was able to understand, he was able to use understanding of other fellow human beings, and he was able to understand, he had what might be called, it gave him the common touch. He was able to understand ordinary people, and he was able to take Shinran Shonin's teachings and give it an extra emphasis for ordinary followers. And how also he had to be almost like a politician, because he had so many competing, there was local politics involved, there was local other religious groups, other sects involved. There were problems also within his own group at one point, and he had to sort those out. So he almost had what looked like an impossible task, but he came through it, and he became stronger, and he built the Shin Buddhist group. So in actual fact, he rose above all that. And when I'm at 3 Wheels, and before we have our meetings that we have regularly, called Londonessers, we read out, and at Sunday service, we hear letters each time from Rennyo Shonin. And each time I hear those letters, and I'm sure everyone else who hears them, they're like personal, it's like Rennyo Shonin is talking to me. So I can feel that same thing that his followers felt all those years ago. So I'm really grateful for that. And I feel totally indebted to Rennyo Shonin. I can see why he is called the restorer, because he rose above all the difficulties he had in his life.
Thank you.
And he actually built Shin Buddhism into what it became.
Yes.
So there's a real great debt of gratitude, and thank you for pointing that out, and also by pointing out, I underline this because you can say this much better than I can. The fact that Rennyo would so often write letters to Dharma friends was a natural consequence of close friendship and mutual respect, fueled by a profound understanding of his followers' needs, both practical and spiritual. And he does that for me, and I'm sure he does that for all other Shin Buddhists. So, and thank you so much for your wonderful talk.
I'd like to thank you.
Yes, please.
I'd like to thank, first of all, 3 Wheels, and dear Kim-san and Kenshin-san, and all our Dharma friends at 3 Wheels, and also now the Buddhist Society, to give me the chance, the opportunity to come here and listen to your 2 lectures. This is my 2nd time. I'm a grieving mother. My name is Taira Sato, and my son, I believe that's how I came to know the 3 Wheel. And 3 Wheel has given me refuge, and refuge to Amida, and receiving the comfort through other power.
Amen.
Yes. And so without the 3 Wheels, I don't know where I would be.
No.
Because of 3 Wheels, I'm still here.
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Nama, 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 nama.
I mean, just as an observation, without going too far into anything particularly pertinent to the talk, but people nowadays are very entitled. They have a feeling of entitlement. So they suffer, but they feel entitled that somehow this suffering should be taken away from them without any particular effort on their part. And usually the solution to their entitlement is a material one. Whether their life should be enhanced without necessarily them making any particular effort. It should just come to them. That's a kind of feeling they have, a delusion that people have. And, this thing about breaking one's bones and so on, the reward of gratitude resolves all problems. All personal problems vanish and disappear and are dissolved in gratitude. And although that's an innate quality, as you yourself said so wonderfully, it's not attained simply by a sense of entitlement. It comes from whatever Buddhist tradition one is in, it comes from faith and the deep application of the Buddhist teachings in practice.
The name Rennyo Shonin is very popular in Japan, but it's known little by Westerners, so very little known. So today's subject is maybe a little bit difficult for Westerners to understand, and it's based on the special tradition. But the next talk will more interesting than this, because I am talking about my encounter with D.T. Suzuki and D.T. Suzuki's appreciation of Pure Land Buddhism, and you can see more detailed aspect of the Shin Buddhist experience. Because I am introducing Shin Buddhist devout Shin Buddhist poet. His poems are wonderful, and so you can see what is the Shin Buddhist experience through these poems. And so please come to next meeting as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Sato. I am the person who knows how much effort he spent for today's lecture. From 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, he was always reading, practicing reading in his the study room, and listening to Rennyo Shonin's history in detail, I came to realize how much effort he made to share his joy in Nenbutsu, receiving Nenbutsu. And I wondered why he didn't fight with other sects. Of course, Buddhists shouldn't fight, but it is, if he is such, he would have such strong self, he could beat other sect. But I believe now, he didn't want to waste his lifetime for doing such things, but he would like to use his lifetime fully to share the teaching of Nenbutsu, Buddha Dharma, with people as many as possible, and considered his move to Yoshizaki or some district temple. He made many temples. It overlapped Reverend Sato's life, which made 3 years in London, the entire purpose of this establishment of our temple is to share teaching of Nenbutsu with Westerners, as many as possible. Then I am now 51. When I became priest, I didn't have such wish to understand what Buddhism is. But being beside his and listening to our master, head priest in Japan, I naturally, mysteriously, come to understand gradually but steadfastly the meaning of Nenbutsu. So he is now at the same age of Rennyo Shonin when he passed. But Reverend Sato is healthy enough. So if you have even little interest, please come to 3 years and share time with him and other down friends. Then you will gradually understand why he would like to share this joy of Shin Buddhist. So please come to 3 years whenever you like.
Nama.
Yeah, please make call in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taira.
Thank you very much for coming to attend this talk. Thank you.